Hey guys, it's Hannah Hart's Book 6, and today I'm going to be talking about the top 6 books I want to read that were published in 1996. I've had the idea to do this book video for a while. If you don't know, I was born in the year 1996, and so I've always wanted to read books that were published and were really popular in the year that I was born. I found a Goodreads list, and it was the top 200 books published in 1996. Obviously there were 200. I narrowed it down to 6 because 6 books 1996, like I felt like it worked. These are all books that are so popular, and I'm really excited to read them and figure out my thoughts about them. I think when I'm done reading all of the books, I will make a wrap-up style video just for those 6 books, and we'll talk about them and talk about my feelings about them and what I think about them, and talk about, like, do they still hold up to today, 23 years later? So the breakdown of these books are that 4 adult books and 2 like middle grade type books. So the first book that I have is Sex and the City by Candace Bushnell, and if you don't know, this is the book that inspired the Sex and the City TV show. And I really like the Carrie Diaries. I haven't watched much Sex and the City, but the Carrie Diaries is about Carrie Bradshaw. And honestly, I've never really thought to read this book, but I think it will be really fun. My coworker Janet read it, and she said that, or read it a long time ago, and she said that it was really cute. So I'm really excited to delve into this. But this is about Carrie Bradshaw and her 3 friends, I believe. Samantha, something else, and something else. All the people who are fans of the Sex and the City are just like dying right now. I know her love interest, his name is like Mr. Big or something, or I don't know. But anyway, this is the first book. The second book that I want to read is The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. And some of you are also gonna die because I've never watched The Notebook. So I really don't even know what The Notebook is about. And of course I've never read it. I've actually never read a Nicholas Sparks book, so this will be my first one. And I've actually always wanted to read The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks because I love The Last Song movie with Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth. The Notebook, I believe it's about this man and woman that are in love. And I just know that he like builds her a house and like writes her a letter every day for like 40 years or something. I don't even know. Honestly, I probably should know more about this because this is really popular in pop culture. And honestly, one of my best friends, Lauren, this is like her favorite movie ever. So the fact that I haven't seen it is like actually appalling to her, but it's okay. She'll get over it. The next book I want to read is The Green Mile by Stephen King. And I have actually wanted to read a Stephen King book for a long time. I don't like horror books, so any of his like horror, like It or Carrie or even Misery are just like a lot for me. But I've actually always wanted to read The Green Mile because I saw a clip, or like I saw like bits and pieces of the movie one time when I was at my mother-in-law's house because my father-in-law was watching it, and it like sounds really cool. It is about this prison called Cold Mountain, and it's set in the 1930s, and basically they're on the E block, and the people on the E block are on the Green Mile, and they're going towards the electric chair, which they call Old Sparky. And basically it follows the prison guard named Paul Edgecombe, and he is telling this from the point of view of like he did it a long time ago, and now he's like telling this story, and he meets this inmate named John Coffey, who's this giant man who apparently committed this awful crime, but he has very little education, and I think there's something supernatural that happens. But I'm really excited to read this book. The other book that I would like to read by Stephen King is 11/22/63, because it's like where this guy goes back in time to find or to like change the JFK shooting, and that sounds really cool to me because I love history. But I'm super excited to read this one. The last adult book I want to read is Home Again by Kristin Hannah. It's on my Kindle, so it's a little bright. But I've also never read a Kristin Hannah book before, and a lot of you are probably shocked. My mom loves The Nightingale, and I would like to read The Nightingale, but honestly, this one sounds a little fluffier. And it's really funny because, like, this book was published in 1996, but it's kind of funny now that, like, Kristin Hannah, I feel like she had a huge resurgence in the past couple of years. So it's kind of cool to, like, read one of her first books and, like, start at her humble beginnings. And also, her last name's Hannah and my first name's Hannah, so I feel like kind of connected to her in a weird way. Another reason that I wanted to read Home Again by Kristin Hannah before I read The Nightingale is because I've heard that The Nightingale's really sad, and I tend to avoid sad books like the plague. And I just figured this book would be good to start with. And it's about this girl named Madeline, and she's a brilliant cardiologist at the top of her game, it says. A loving but overworked single mom, she is constantly at odds with her confused and angry daughter, Lena, a teenage rebel, desperate to find the father she has never known. He is Angel DeMarco, now a cynical, world-famous movie star, living a shallow, glittering life. When tragedy brings them all together, an angel's damaged heart needs healing. Madeline must face the betrayals of the past and find the courage to love again. You're right in the feels. Honestly, that could not be more different than the books that she writes now. I wonder if she is proud of this book still. I wonder if she still loves it. The first review from Stephanie Jones says, okay, but Hannah's later books are much better. So, if that gives us any indication of how that's gonna go. But anyway, so that is the fourth book and the last adult book that I want to read. The next book that I want to read, and it's the only book I've actually already read in full, I should say, is Frindle by Andrew Clements. And Frindle is a book that I read in elementary school. So it's really funny that, like, it was published in 1996 and I probably read it in like 2005. But anyway, it is a book about Nick Allen, and basically Nick Allen, from what I remember about it, he makes up the word Frindle to describe a pen. I don't even, I don't remember much about this book. I just remember that Andrew Clements was one of my favorite authors. And my favorite book by him in elementary school was The School Story, which I read a couple of, like, last year or whatever. And it was, like, didn't hold up, but it was, like, still nostalgic to read it. But yeah, I'm excited to reread Frindle because I've wanted to reread it for a while now, just to, like, see how I felt about it now. And I think it's a good time to read it, especially because it was published the year I was born. So maybe that's why I had such, like, a connection to it. Probably, but also probably not. The last book that I am going to read for this challenge is Falling Up by Shel Silverstein. Shel Silverstein is a poet, and so Falling Up is a poetry collection, and I think I've read some of the poems in there, but I don't think I've ever read it in full. I had a children's literature class that I took like 2 summers ago, which is actually the class that got me back into reading, and I had to do a poetry book, and I'm pretty sure that was the poetry collection that I took from, but I only needed like 1 poem from it. But yeah, I really like Shel Silverstein poems. I am typically not a poem person because I feel like poems make me feel dumb. So I don't like tend to gravitate toward them, but I think it would be fun to read the children's poems. Really excited to read all 6 of these books. So in summary, I have Sex and the City, Notebook, The Green Mile, Home Again by Kristin Hannah, Frindle by Andrew Clements, and Falling Up by Shel Silverstein. And those are the 6 books that I want to read, published in 1996. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below, what year were you born? And also, comment down below a really popular book from the year you were born. You can look it up on Goodreads and maybe find a book that you want to read from that year. You don't have to read 6 books. I'm just, you know, overwhelmed. But yeah, let me know. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stick around and hang out with me. And yeah, that's the end of this video. Bye, guys.